It was a cold November morning when Maya sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her hands. They trembled, not from the chill in the air, but from the weight of uncertainty that had haunted her for months. A once promising writer, Maya hadn't touched her journal in weeks. Every time she tried, the same voice echoed in her mind, "You're not good enough." Her room, once filled with sticky notes of inspiration and books marked with dog-eared pages, had become a shrine of silence. The world outside moved on. Friend got promotions. Her peers published their novels, but Maya remained stuck, paralyzed by doubt, strangled by fear. It hadn't always been like this. Maya had once believed in her dreams. As a teenager, she would spend hours scribbling stories about magical lands and fearless heroines. Her parents, immigrants who had given up everything for a better life, cheered her on from the sidelines. Her mother used to say, "Your words have wings, Maya. Don't be afraid to fly." But over time, life chipped away at that confidence. Rejections from publishers piled up, critiques from teachers and peers stung deeper than they should have. The more she listened to the world, the more she ignored her heart. One day, while walking past a bookstore downtown, Maya noticed a handwritten sign on the window, "Open Mic Night, Share Your Story." Her heart skipped a beat. A flicker of something she hadn't felt in a long time possibility, but doubt returned swiftly. What story? Who wants to hear your voice? She turned away and walked home. That night, she sat in silence again. But this time, instead of escaping into distractions, she opened the bottom drawer of her desk. Inside was her old journal, leather-bound, worn at the edges, and filled with dreams she had once dared to believe in. Slowly, she began to read. And for the first time in months, she cried. Each page reminded her of who she was. Not the fearful woman lost in comparison, but the brave girl who wrote stories not for applause, but for healing her own and others. She made a decision. She would go to the open mic night. When the evening arrived, Maya stood backstage, clutching a few crumpled pages. Her legs shook. The voice in her head screamed louder than ever. "They'll laugh at you. You'll mess up. Go home." But then she remembered her mother's words. "Don't be afraid to fly." She walked onto the stage. The lights blinded her at first, but as she began to read, something shifted. The words flowed not perfectly, not without tremble, but honestly. She told a story of a girl who lost her way, who let doubt build walls around her heart, but who chose to break free. She spoke of pain, of disappointment, of dreams deferred but never forgotten. And as she looked up, she saw something unexpected. Tears, not just in her own eyes, but in the faces of strangers. People were nodding, leaning in. They saw themselves in her story, in her struggle. When she finished, the room was silent for a second and then erupted in applause. Not the thunderous kind meant for performance, but the kind that says, "Thank you for being real." After the event, a young girl approached her. "That story, it was like you were telling mine. I haven't written in years, but I think I'll start again." That was the moment Maya realized. Her words still had wind. Doubt is a quiet thief. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just whispers until you stop trying. But here's the truth Maya learned: doubt only has power if you feed it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to move forward in spite of it. Breaking free from doubt isn't a single leap. It's a series of small, defiant steps. Picking up the pen again, saying yes to an opportunity, letting your voice be heard, even if it shakes. And maybe, like Maya, you'll find that your story doesn't just belong to you. It becomes a mirror for others, a reminder that none of us are truly alone. So if you're reading this and you feel lost, unsure, or small, remember, you are not your doubt. You are your courage. You are your light. And the world needs your story. Believe in yourself not because you're perfect, but because you're worthy, just as you are. And your words, too, have wings. Don't be afraid to fly. Asterisk, asterisk.